Hi, this is Kat. Welcome to the Lake District Yogi. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a really short, sweet, but full body flow. Before we get started, make sure you've got your space as nourishing and delicious as you can make it. So if you need to, you can pause this video so that you can gather any of the things you need. You don't need to do that. You can just roll out your mat and practice. But personally, I really enjoy kind of curating my space. I've always got my tea with me. I bring my tea to the mat. That's a really important thing for me. I've got books. Obviously, I'm not going to read while I'm practicing, but I just love to have them close. If it was evening, I'd light some candles. I've always got some essential oils nearby. So today I'm feeling a little tired, so I'm going to be energizing myself with some peppermint oil. I've got my tea. I'm good to go. And I like to spend a few minutes just sort of luxuriating in these lovely things before I move. I find that they're just lovely ways to enhance my practice, especially if time is short. I want to get the maximum out of it that I can. So I'm going to have a little sniff of this delicious uplifting peppermint oil, a sip of tea, and then we'll get started. Thank you for waiting while I drank my tea. It's so important to me. Okay, so we're just going to sit in a comfortable shape. So it doesn't have to be cross-legged like this. You can even lie down if you want to start, but we're just going to spend a couple of moments just really arriving. If you're doing this in the evening and you've had a really busy day, or you've got very busy day ahead, or you're short of time and everything's feeling a little bit squashed, maybe there's a lot of stress going on in your life, there's certainly plenty going on in the outside world, it can be quite a big ask to expect yourself to just step on your mat and immediately go into some kind of chilled space. It just doesn't work like that. So we need to kind of invite ourselves in, give ourselves grace, give ourselves the opportunity to just arrive gently. So I always start just by sitting like this. I find this really comfortable, but you can kneel, you can lie down, like I said. I've got my hands just naturally curled around my knees. So I'm making contact with my own body. I'm feeling where I'm in contact with the ground beneath me. I'm allowing my spine to find a little bit of space. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm literally going to spend the next 2 or 3 breaths just allowing kind of some of that external clutter and noise and chatter to just dissipate a little. It's not to say it's going to happen straight away or even at all, but I just want to give myself the chance to arrive fully, to kind of land in this present moment. My body's here, my mind isn't necessarily here. So this is a chance to just gather it all together. And then allowing some of my awareness to just land really gently on my breathing. When we're stressed or highly anxious, or when we're feeling overwhelmed, the breath can become quite high in the chest, very rapid and shallow. So again, this isn't an expectation that we go from that to these great long deep breaths instantly, but it's just an invitation. Can we find a little bit more space in the next breath? A little bit more length and depth to the breath, but really slowly. Don't put yourself under a ton of pressure to do anything drastic. We'll just create the conditions for baby steps. And if your body wants to give a lovely long audible sigh, that happens as the body starts to relax. We just find this need to yawn or sigh. So just let the body lead. And then we'll gently start moving to warm up our body. I'm going to take my glasses off for this. We're going to do some spinal rolls. So if you have been lying down or kneeling, try and find your way into this seated position. If this is really hard and you find it very difficult to keep the spine long, tilt your pelvis. So if you just sit on something, all you do is lift the same shape of higher off the floor, and it's the same issues. What you need to do is to wedge something under your under your sitting bones. So you can roll up the back of your mat or put a pillow or a blanket. Anything that just sort of tilts the pelvis a little bit might allow you to find that bit of length. We're not going to be here too long. We're going to place our hands on our knees. Once you know what you're doing, feel free to close your eyes. I'm a really big believer in that. I think it's great to help us get more internal and feel more when we take away that sense. So take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, move to one side. So just over to the side, and then find some fluid circles. So we're going to use the arms. We're going to bend the elbows. Make these circles comfortable. So they don't have to be the biggest that you can possibly do. They can be quite small, but really sort of being fully mindful of the movement, however big or small they are. I really like to get the arms involved. I like to press the heel of my hands into the tops of my legs, make that connection, really facilitate a deeper movement, maybe tucking the chin to the chest as you go to the back, and then leading with the heart as you sweep round to the front. You can feel the weight shifting from one sitting bone to the other. You may feel it in your waist. Wherever the sensation arrives, just notice it. And then pause at the front so we can go in the other direction. So we're just warming and mobilizing the spine, starting to find some ease and fluidity in our movements. So we'll do one more round this way. And then pause at the front. And then allow the spine to come back to that sort of neutral space. Maybe have the eyes closed. Feel into when you're sort of upright. So we're never looking for anything super rigid, but we are looking, excuse me, for that length and that little bit of space in the spine. And just pause, feel into the body. So I like to always put pauses in after poses so that we can reassess, we can listen for feedback, we can see how the practice is starting to land in our bodies. Okay, we're going to place our right hand down on the ground beside us. Distance doesn't really matter, you can adjust it anyway as you go. And we're going to lean this left arm over our ear. And then you can bend this elbow here or straighten the arm to lift you back up, so you can see how you can create the sensation that you want. Keep this left sitting bone down and keep stretching right to the tips of your fingers. And allow the breath to find that space. And then we'll sweep to the other side. So we'll lift over, bring the right arm up, reach alongside the ear. Again, keeping some awareness in that right sitting bone and reaching to the tips of the fingers, using this left arm wherever you need. So you're in control of how much sensation you get. And then we'll come back to the center. You can roll over your knees. We're going to find all fours. I'm going to turn to the side. So we're looking to have our wrists underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. You can keep the toes tucked or untucked. It's entirely up to you. Spread through the fingers. So we want to have nice wide fingers, not necessarily the thumb so much, but the fingers, and then kind of stick them down. I always think of it as like one of those lovely little green tree frogs, really sticking the palms down. And then find a gaze point. So all of these lovely little things happen before we start to move. We move our way in, we ground ourselves, we find wherever we're going to be looking our drishti. So that could be between your thumbs or a foot or so in front of your hands, and soften the gaze. And then let the belly drop and lift the chin just a fraction, just a fraction. Take a breath in here. And as you breathe out, start to press into the hands as you tuck the tailbone under and round the spine to the ceiling. Let the head drop. Next in breath, we lift the tailbone. It's like a little Mexican wave. The belly drops. We lift the gaze. Keep moving like this on your own breath. As we breathe out, we press the earth away with the hands. We round the spine, press, press, press right at the top to find that extra little bit. And then soften the elbows a fraction as we lift the tailbone. Let the belly drop. Let the heart shine forward between the gates of the shoulders. And keep moving like this on your breath. Finding those spacious breaths, slowing things right down. We're always in such a rush to get everywhere and do everything, so it's nice to gift yourself something a little slower. Next time you've reached your spine to the ceiling, just come back and find that neutral spine. Open the eyes if you had them closed. And then we're going to send our right arm forward and our left leg back. So try to keep the left leg in line with the hip. You can flex or point the foot. I can feel a little plant tickling on my foot. That's quite sweet. You can have the toes of the right foot tucked or not. And then reach through those fingertips again and reach back with that back foot. Feel how the core has started to light up. Draw the lower belly in a little. And feel the balance and or the wobble. Find that gaze point, keep drawing in that lower belly, sort of connecting to this band almost around your belly that helps with stability. So keep that engagement. And then we'll bring the right hand down and the left knee. And we'll send the left arm forward and the right leg back. Again, flexing or pointing, but pressing back and reaching forward. As if you could become a little bit elastic. Find that gaze point, keep that belly drawn in. Embrace the wobble. And then bring the hand and the knee down. Tuck the toes if you haven't already, and sit back at the back of your mat into a squat. Now, if you want your heels to go flat, if I wanted my heels to go flat, I'd need to be up here somewhere. I don't mind so much having my heels off the floor, but if you're uncomfortable with that, then sort of lift the hips until your feet are flat. If you're lucky enough to have lovely flat feet and can squat like a toddler. Brilliant. Okay, so the fingers can stay on the ground in front of you with the arms straight, or you can bring the elbows to the inside of the knees and the hands to the heart. And here we activate that beautiful dual action, which we find so much in yoga. So we can press our elbows into our knees into our elbows with equal amounts of pressure, and we find that balance and stability, hopefully. So again, look to your gaze point. What's your drishti? Where are you letting your gaze land, where you can help with that balance? Soften the gaze. Keep the breath spacious and slow. Beautiful. If you've got the hands at the heart, bring the fingertips down to the ground. We're going to come to a forward fold, but I want us to do this in stages and really carefully. So press into the fingertips, lift the hips just a little, and then turn the feet so that they're parallel, and then lift the hips. You don't want to be lifting the hips with the feet at some kind of quirky angle. And then find your forward fold. So if this is the first time you've really stretched into the backs of the legs today, you might need to feel your way in. There might be any amount of little wriggles or movement. You can hold the backs of your legs. You can hold your opposite elbows and let the torso hang. You can keep the knees bent. You do not have to have them straight. Just let yourself have a little bit of time here. Maybe swaying from side to side. I always find that an absolutely delicious way to get into the backs of the legs. And then let the swaying cease gently. Bring the hands down, lift halfway. So when we lift halfway in our vinyasas or our sun salutations or here, we're looking for a flat back. So it may be that you need your hands on the shins or even on your thighs, but the fingertips can be on the floor if that works for you. And then walk yourself forward into plank. You might need to readjust your feet. You can bring the knees down to the ground if you want a little bit of extra support. Spread through the fingers, press into the hands, engage that bandha, that round here. You know, imagine that you've got a band, a tight band around here. And the bandhas in yoga are those sort of yogic locks. So we draw in the lower belly. It was all about kind of holding in prana and energy, but we also therefore create this beautiful stability around the core. It really helps. Okay, we're going to come to our bellies. So you can lower the knees down, bend the elbows, let the chest come down, untuck the toes, hands underneath the shoulders. You can place the forehead on the mat. And then on your next in-breath, press into the hands and peel the chest, just any amount off the mat. It doesn't have to be high. Keep the elbows tucked in if you can. And then lower back down. One more time as you breathe in, peel up off the ground as much as you want or can. And then lower back down. Tuck the toes under. Press yourself back to an active child. So keep the toes tucked. It's a lovely stretch for the feet. Reach the hands forward. Place the forehead down. And just settle here for a few breaths. So these pause points are a really beautiful way of continually coming home, continually coming back to being present, to coming back to your breath, to your body. As we move, we can be so distracted. Our minds just dash off, elsewhere. There's so much going on that can draw us away from our practice, can draw us away from this present moment. So these pause points are very deliberately put in for you so that they're a chance to reconnect. We can give our bodies a little reset or a pause button. We can come back to the breath and then we can move some more. Okay, so we've got the toes tucked, we've got the arms reaching forward. We're coming up into our first downward dog. So you can keep the hands where they are. You can start to lift the hips a little. The toes are already tucked, and then we can send the hips back. So when you're there, you may need to readjust, bring the hands a little closer or further away. That's entirely up to you. If your downward dog, like sitting cross-legged, is still feeling a little uncomfortable, maybe the weight is a bit tipped forward, just bend the knees and lift the hips. So they're the two kind of most beneficial things I think you can do in your downward dog, because the downward dog is really about the spine. It doesn't really matter if the knees are bent. What we want is to lift the hips and allow the spine to lengthen. If you can work the legs straight, by all means do so, but it's definitely not a requirement. Neither is it a requirement to have the heels touching the ground. It just doesn't matter. So wherever you can find some comfort in your downward dog, if you're still not there and you're thinking, what is she talking about? Please don't worry. Comfort will come, I promise. Okay, this is where we're going next. We're going to step our right foot forward between our hands. So you can do that in many ways. You can use your hand, you can come to the knees first. I like to send my leg out behind me. So I lift my right leg out behind me, and then I can kind of round a little bit like a cat-cow thing, make some space, and then I can step it through. But however you get there, it's all good. It's your body, your practice. I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but it's kind of true and really important. We need to listen to our bodies and do what works for us. Let the knee come down at the back, and then bring the hands to the front leg. So your low lunge, may not look like this. You may look much more upright like this, with things more at a right angle. That's entirely dependent on how open you are in this hip and how much you want to sink down into that. So you need to feel your way in. Please don't just throw yourself into the shape and hope for the best. You know, go in mindfully, really feel. So we've got gravity working. I'm going to counter that by pressing a little bit into this front foot. So I'm completely in control of how much sinking I'm doing. I'm not just kind of dumping all my weight down into my hips. And then you can keep the hands there, or you can bring the arms overhead. So again, feel. You feel into how much you want to sink into this hip, how much you want to ease back out. Reach to the tips of the fingers if you've got the arms lifted. And then let the fingertips come either side of the foot and send the hips back, but keep them high. And then extend this right leg. So again, doesn't have to be straight. You can intensify or release the sensation by flexing the foot more or less. And then draw back a fraction on that right hip, a bit like as if you were pulling on a bow and arrow. You can move obviously the fingers closer to you. You can keep the chest very upright. Or if you've got the space to do it, you can fold a little bit over that right leg. Or you can move with the breath, find a little bit of flow, lifting maybe the heart a little as you breathe in and coming forward as you breathe out. And then re-bend the front leg, move the hands forward, place them flat, tuck the toes under at the back, lift the back knee off the floor, keep the left hand deeply rooted and peel the right arm up. I normally like to cue it as shoulder, elbow, fingers. Keep that right leg kind of hugging in as if everything is coming to the midline. We're keeping everything, that energy all drawing inwards. The right leg isn't just wandering out. And then place the right hand down and step yourself back to downward dog. Pedal the feet as you need. Stay in your downward dog. If you want to roll through a vinyasa, if that's part of your practice and you're feeling it today, then you can come up onto the toes, round forward into plank, lower the knees, or find your flow through chaturanga into your upward dog and then back. But you don't have to do that. You can just pause in downward dog. We'll send the left leg through. So find your way. Remember, I like to lift my leg, then step it through, adjust yourself, lower the right knee. Find your lunge. So again, I can't stress this enough. Feel your way into this. Let all your awareness come into your body and your breath. How much do you want to sink? How much movement, how much sensation are you looking for? You can keep the hands on the knees or lift the arms, reach to the tip of the fingers. Find your centered space. Find your place of peace where there is nothing but you and your breath. Bring the fingertips down, send the hips back. You can tuck the toes under at the back if you want a little bit of stability here. Draw back a little on that left hip. Find any amount of fold if there is movement available there or space to move into. Find the breath. Re-bend that front leg, plant the hands, tuck the toes and lift the knee at the back, and then peel this arm, shoulder, elbow, fingers. Keep this left knee not moving in. We're not necessarily actively moving it, but the energy, the intention is that it's moving in towards the body. Place the left hand down, step to downward dog. And again, just pause here, or you can lower to the knees and find a couple of recalibrating breaths in child's pose, or you can flow through your vinyasa, any version of it that works for you, finding cobra or up dog. And then back to downward dog. Okay, we'll step the right foot through again, so however you want to get there. This time keep the back knee lifted, find your balance, and then lift the arms overhead. And again, find your amount of sinking, your amount of movement here. Find your gaze point. Keep the shoulders soft, back heel pressing back, keep this core engaged. Okay, seal down the back heel and open the arms into warrior two. You should be able to see your toes in the front, back foot. I mean, I hear all kinds of things about angles, you know, it's totally unnecessary. We have different skeletons and ranges of movement. There is no angle. Just find a comfortable position for that foot. The hips in different warriors are in different positions. So in warrior two, the hips are off at a sort of 45-degree angle. And then reach through both hands. Don't forget that back arm. Reach through both hands, right to the tips of the fingers. Okay, very gently touch this back arm down, touch the leg, and reach alongside the ear with this right arm. If that's uncomfortable, just reach straight up. Try to keep this back hand lovely and light. We don't want to be just pressing a load of weight onto our back leg. And then find our warrior two again. This is the fun bit. Swivel onto the back toes, come back to the lunge. Bring the hands down, step to plank this time, and then either lift your hips into downward dog or move through your vinyasa. If you're unsure about vinyasa, I will be posting a little video that just talks through transitions in vinyasa, so don't worry, just hang in there and we'll get some tutorial on that. Okay, when you're ready, left leg lifts or steps through however you want. Keep the right knee lifted. Find your balance. Lift the arms. Find some joy in this. So there's a feeling, hopefully, of being deeply grounded. So we're really connecting to the earth. We're feeling ourselves rooted. But there's also this lift, a lightness and energy. It comes up the legs that are nice and strong and engaged, and then light through the waist all the way to the fingers. Find your breath. Okay, when you're ready, seal that back heel down, open the arms out into our warrior two. Let the out breath ground you a little bit more. And then drop the back hand gently and just lean. Find your reverse warrior. Arm alongside the ear, nice and light on this back hand if you can. And then back to warrior two. Swivel on the toes, come back to our high lunge. Nicely done. Bring the hands down, step to plank, lift to downward dog, or travel through your vinyasa. Any version of it that works for you. And then from here, we're coming to a seat. So you can bring your knees down, you can bend the knees and kind of jump into the seat. However that works for you. Keep the legs nice and long out in front. Okay. Keep the left leg long and bring the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. And again, however much you flex or don't flex this left foot, you'll be engaging this left leg more and more. So we want it somewhat engaged. We don't want it just hanging out. So really find that activation in the left leg. Draw the lower belly in. We can lift the arms overhead in order to move forward, or we can just walk down like that, but we're hinging, we're keeping that heart center, that shining heart center outwards, not down. We're not looking to put our head to our knee. So all of this stays lifted as we fold forward. You can hold the foot, the ankle, the thigh. But if you're holding some part of your body, that's always really nice to hold, to make connection with your body, to feel yourself, to feel embodied. And then find the breath. You can ride the waves of the breath wherever you are. You can always do that. You can find a little micro lift as you breathe in and a little micro sinking as you breathe out. So that's always an option. And then gently come back up. Place your right hand just on the outside of your right hip. And then we're going to come up onto this right knee. So we're going to press into the hand, come up onto that right knee and peel ourselves open. Find a beautiful, joyful expression of expansiveness and spaciousness. And then set the hips back down. We'll switch legs. So we'll send the right leg long, left foot inside, bring that right foot towards you a bit so that the leg's nice and active. Decide if you're going to lift the arms overhead or walk them down, but keep aware of this heart center. Imagine it's got this beaming light, it's shining forward as you fold. And then find your way of connecting to your body. And settle in here and breathe. This leg doesn't have to be straight. You can bend it. If it's too much to have it straight, you can stick a blanket underneath it. You can keep everything soft and nourishing. This has to work for you. Finding a feeling of stillness here. We're never completely still. The breath is still moving within us. We can harness that. And we can, even if it's fleeting, if we can just catch glimpses of the place inside that is still and calm and quiet and untroubled. Let's just rest there just for a moment, touch base with it like the mother tree. And then slowly come back up, place the left hand on the outside of the left hip. We're coming up onto this knee and reaching either straight up or for a deeper stretch alongside the ear. Beautiful. And then we sink the hips back down, bring the legs long, and we'll bend over both legs. So I have to throw in a bit of Paschimottanasana into nearly all my classes, mainly because I just love saying it so much. It's just the most beautiful word. So now we want to have both feet coming towards us, so the legs active and not just, just hanging out there. There's some engagement here. We're not talking 100%. We're not talking rigid, but we are talking engaged. And then as you move forward from the heart. So remember, it doesn't matter whether you walk the hands. Some people love to reach the arms overhead because as you come forward, I don't know, it's sort of really obvious where your range of movement is. So it's entirely up to you, but stop when you find your edge, as we call it in yoga, and then find somewhere for the feet, for the hands, sorry. You can have them on the mat, that doesn't matter, they can be planted, but it's about never missing an opportunity to make that connection, to ground yourself. So we're keeping the heart shining even as we're in a forward fold. Really love this amount of sort of opposites and dual actions that we get in yoga all the time that actually creates so much stability and fluidity. It's just a big bag of contradictions, but it works. You know, there's something just utterly magical that comes together with all these things. Okay, so again, if you want to find a micro lift as you breathe in and then fold, or if you just want to rest in stillness, maybe close the eyes and allow your attention and awareness to just fall away, land on nothing but your breath. Maybe there's a little bit of extra movement that you can move into as we settle and the body goes, yeah, okay, this is okay. You know, but maybe you're up here and your range of movement is just half a centimeter. It doesn't matter, it's the same work that's happening wherever we land. But wherever we are, there might be a little bit more space open up. And then slowly come back up, bring the soles of the feet together. And again, all personal preference, whether you have them a long way away or really close, you can hold onto the ankles or the feet or the knees. And then again, we lift out of the waist, we lift the heart nice and proud, and then we fold forward. So do any little adjustments all the time that you need to do. So if you're listening and moving in with awareness and adjusting, then you can't really go wrong. You're not going to injure yourself. You're not going to go too far because you're constantly doing this sort of back and forth of listening, moving. Oh, no, that's too much. Oh, that's, you know, and then that starts to become real second nature. And then we're just flowing in and out of these shapes, but with so much attention and care for our own bodies. So finding whatever works. However far you go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to look like mine. It has to feel good. That's the most important thing. It's not what it looks like. And every pose that we hold like this that isn't in a sort of vinyasa flow is an opportunity to just let's reconnect with the breath. Even if you can only stay attentive to it just for a breath or a moment of a breath. It's all a muscle memory. It's a practice. And we get better and better at staying focused on this small thing. It's both really easy and very hard. And then let yourself come back up. Find a cross-legged seat again if you can. I'll just turn to face you. Next in-breath, sweep the arms overhead. And we'll move into a twist. So bring the right hand behind you and your left hand onto your right knee. And then really press into the ground with that right hand. Let that spine grow tall, find some space. And then you can use this hand against the knee to twist. So we're twisting from the belly. We're not twisting from the neck. So the head can just look off to the side. You can turn and look round over your shoulder, but you definitely don't have to. So we're finding length first, then twist, making sure we can still let the breath be smooth and slow. Come back to the center, sweep the arms overhead. Move into a twist the other way, so left hand behind this time, right hand on the left knee. Press into the earth, lift nice and tall, and then twist from the belly. Staying connected to that breath, to your center. And then slowly coming back to the front. Place the hands on the knees and close the eyes and just feel. That's it, just feel. Feel into your body. How does your body feel after that practice? How does your body feel after that sustained, slow breathing? Where are there pockets of warmth? Where has energy been generated? Just feel for as many layers of your being as you can. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and then you'll never miss a Lake District Yogi class. I'm planning to do some tutorials and some longer form flows and just all kinds of things. I'm really excited to be sharing this with you. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful day, or if it's the evening, I hope you have a really mellow evening and a good night wherever you are. And I look forward to practicing with you again soon. Thank you.